a developer, a girl. Why not? He could be also a girl, also. And this little girl started to learn Grails, and here she realized that all the easiest way to do the things, to place the code, is not the best way. So we are going to talk about where we have to put our business logic. So who am I? I'm Antonio de la Torre. I'm working in Kaleidos here in Madrid. I'm engineer and I'm Agile developer. I'm Agile Coach in Kaleidos. So I'm developed and I'm worried about how we deliver that software, how we build our teams. I'm not maybe the best Grails developer here in the conference, but I'm sure I'm one of the oldest ones. No, I'm not sure. No, but I'm here. It's quickly we start to some years of experience, and I can put there 20 years of experience, of 25, of maybe from my first basic code. There are 28 years, I don't know. But I'm going to tell you why I am here, why my point interests you. Because I'm sure that 20 years of experience is not the same that 20 years of different experience. It's not the same. Maybe sometimes 1 year is 5 times, Maybe you have not 20 years, maybe you have 1 year 20 times. Yeah. Okay, I'm prepared this talk here in my office. This is our office here in Kaleidos. Believe that or not? It's like Google, a lot of now. It's of course my home. So I came here with a lot of questions, a lot of problems, and one proposal. And I would like to make this talk like a conversation. So please don't hesitate to interrupt me, maybe to interrupt me to comment about what I'm going to say, or to repeat something, because maybe you didn't understand what I'm saying. So please, I would like that this talk were in the, in a table or in with a lot of beers. You are so far, maybe, but please, also the people in the back, raise your hand. How many of you like to start talks with raise your hands? Yes, it's to make sports, I think. Okay. Where do I put my business logic? So I said this is the little history of a girl that maybe started with the how-to, with the first Grails from scratch, and he says, okay, what's the first? Where is my business logic? All the code in controllers, of course. Why? Because the scaffolding helps. Yeah, scaffolding helps a lot in this stuff. To put all our code in controllers, create domain and then appears a lot of code. Yeah, that's nice. And then, okay, I need maybe extract some methods, because don't repeat yourself. And then we put a complete user list, some criteria with a name, I don't know, with a money between 500 and 1,000, and I don't know, okay, in City of London. Okay. Yes, a criteria. We have structured it. Okay, what's the problem here? Well, the problem here is that we have in a MVC, okay, this little girl suddenly realized that, okay, Grails is a MVC framework, so all our code don't have to stay there in the controllers. We have to move it to the model layer, okay? So, and the pattern here is skinny controller and fat model. Okay, so second step is move to the main. And then, what happens? Suddenly, the user.groovy has 772 lines. Okay, so this is not a real file, of course. This is not of our actual project. And then you see, in the first lines, get followers. Why not? This is a social network. Then the enumerators, gender type, and then registration type, all in the same file. It's about users, or not. But 772 lines. This is anti-patterns. It's called got object. Okay, in this, and then what is the move, natural move here? Okay, we got service layer. So move all to the service. And then what happens? And now we have now XXL service. And then service, okay, this is very similar, but I think a lot of us feels more comfortable because we separate, and this is true. We separate the GORM, the GORM layer from our business logic. You remember, this all stuff is we are talking about where do I put my business logic. Sorry. So what happens here? See a little. Everybody see the code? Yeah. Yeah, you can learn. So we got here with a little bit of creation, create new user with params, with a set of params, a lot of strings and maybe some taggers. And then we got, okay, new user, return user, dot save. At the end, hey, we save one line, one intro there. And then return user. Okay, it's not necessarily, but the last object is the returned data. Okay, and then update user with some data also. A lot of some queries, find criteria, find followers also. Why not? Do you remember this is a social network? And then we have service about bank cooperatives. Why not? Our user service class is maybe we want to get all my bank accounts balance. It's about users, no? It's all my bank accounts. So where do I have to put this stuff about users? In the user service, of course. It's about user. Okay. So what here? 20 pattern. One anti-pattern and one pattern. This is dynamic model. He calls, and then suddenly our model is almost empty of behavior. And the service are transaction scripts. This is all our service. There's all of our stuff in a one method. So what we are going to face the problems I found here. So I remember you that this is the things I realized with my experience. I like to, please don't stay to comment everything you want to do. Okay, so the first thing I think is the key, the point in all of this talk is the responsibility. Service with too much responsibility. And then I say, so creation. This service is responsible for creation. Create new user with a lot of data. This is, in this case, we have a complex user. It's not like, some strings and integers. Also, we got a place embedded with a role. With we had to over there had two places. We set the boss. This is the complex creation in our service object. The second one we see here is too much invocation. This is maybe in the top of this file there is maybe a lot of injected service. Maybe how much do you think? Maybe 7, 8. This is easy in a service of 500 lines. And all of these services is they allow over here, no? You say email service, the communication to the final user that we made a transaction, no? Transfer money from my default bank account destination on to my a destination account. And we got here, then after that we say emails a lot of invocations to notification service. This is usual. Why? Because maybe the first time we put there an email service, there were only to notify the user by email. But then the projects go on and said, oh, we just finished our Android app, so we want to push notifications up to the old ones by SMS. So, right? Anybody of you can imagine that? I'm sure that you can imagine it. Yes, and then, okay, well, I say this, and we mix in the same in the same code criteria with logic like the account is check if we got money in the account. Check if transfer is possible. Well, I miss here some code, some sample code. And the third point is the save part. Okay, save is not maybe sometimes so easy that our scaffoldings wants to be. No? Yes, maybe it's a little bit difficult, or more difficult than that. In this case, for example, we save with in create. We have to put some place in the user information, and then imagine that we want to use some native functionality for our progress. So we have to use this invocation, but we have more quickly like than Postgres DB, like Mongo, and we want to put also data there, and we put these lines before after that, or maybe our Mongo plugin doesn't work properly, so we have to use the native invocations, and so on. So there may be saving a data is not so easy, like new and .save. Maybe you have to put a lot of information, and also in how to store the data, and also where to store the data. So. And at this point, I want to stop a little bit because persistence, our business logic, our data, is not a business logic problem. It's a hardware problem. If we got computers that has a lot of memory, and these computers never shut down, and the uptime is 100%, we don't need to persist nothing. Only memory, collections of thousands of objects. And Why we have to put our saving process inside our business logic? Because persistence is a hardware problem. It's not our problem. You see the point? Okay, the problem in this, at this time, the object-oriented programming, we almost forgot all about that. Okay, you know, anemic model, no behavior in the objects, no, because an object orientation is about a state and behavior. If without behavior, our process becomes a little bit tricky, because in our, like I explained earlier, we have in an Agile company, and we want to use user stories to implement behavior, to implement user stories. So where our behavior? Well, our behavior is lost in this amount of services. So, well, I just said about this. But, so, where is my business logic? Where is it? It's here. All of this, all the stuff I was talking about, the only code that seems like business logic is the code about transfers, bank transfers. That is our business logic. When we can make money transfer, when we can this is possible, make a new transfer to consolidate. This is our business logic. This is our stuff, not creation, not persistence. And at this point, how looks like our unit test? How do you think they are? They are with a lot of mocks, with a lot of service. You know, we have to mock maybe 3 emails, 3 types of notification service. You have to insert previously your test, a lot of data, a lot of user, a lot of transfer. You have to, because your service in his process retrieve it. No, maybe in your first line of your service process is a get. So you have to previously of that you have to insert data. Maybe you know very well the build plugin, isn't it? Maybe yes, so this is the problem. You have to realize why we have to test our business logic, inserting a lot of the objects, and also with mocking service like push notification service. Do you know how feels now our little girl that just started to learn Grails 6 months ago? Okay, where's she? What she's thinking now? I think she's thinking that, okay, why not? Go on. Everybody does that, no? So the actions here, there is a lot of patterns like that can help us to make better software. So I don't know through it in deep, but I just name it to your later consideration or to the later study. But you know that the first of all is I think that the most important principle here is the single responsibility principle. It is is from the solid recommendation, and it's about that you have to your classes must do only one thing. You must change only with one motivo, como se diría, with one, yeah, Sorry? Reason, thank you. With one reason. The second one I say is tell, don't ask. Don't mix getters and process and logical. If you have to, the classical is like you saw earlier in the presentation. You see that give me the account, and then account dot make transfer, and then with the return data make something, and they save this. Okay, we mix a lot of gets and process, and then saves and everything. The tell don't ask says that you have to say the account to do something. You have to, there must be should be a method that is the account dot do something. The service that says the get account and then account dot is not don't follow this recommendation. Okay. A lot of this is in a list of 9 steps to better software, like Jeff Bay. This is an interesting lecture. But another one is grasp. It's more easiest. Like I think solid. I understood yesterday. Today I forgot everything. I found a good document in Spanish that explains with a lot of code the solid principles. I think it's a good read for you. If I have to publish it with my presentation later. But what is it all about? It's all about the smells. Please don't take it like it's like God that came here and said you what you have to do. Take like smells. I mean that single responsibility, or I mean that in this, for example, in 9 steps, there's one like says that methods methods that with more than 20 lines are forbidden, for example. What means that? Okay, this is maybe means that a lot of work for you, maybe. Yes? Most of, maybe out of you says, okay, this means that I have to work a lot more to make this, to separate everything in a lot of new classes. But means that it's a smell. If you got a method with with 2 screens, I think no, I don't know the numbers. Maybe you have to page down 3 times. Maybe you have to see it in deep to what that method is doing. So, okay, he says why we are talking about object-oriented. Why we are talking about everything about object state, object behavior, and things like that. I am talk in Greach about functional programming. I like too much anemic model. I love them. Okay, no problem, because this is about responsibility. Okay, this is not about I want to put my methods in user.groovy. It's about responsibility. I want a bank user.groovy. I want a social network, or or a boss.class or .groovy, sorry, or things like that. And a little point for future programming here is we got with immutability in our business logic classes, in our business logic service. We got our transaction scripts, our stateless service, like our API. We don't have workflows, complex workflows in our projects. We don't use to make this banks. Okay, this is a nice sample, but almost of us make a complex CRUDs. And a point for this is the Brian Marek. Brian Marek says, why we have to go to DB, make an instance an object, process it, get a new object, and store it again. Why we have to do this all stuff? Why we use directly the data, process it in my methods, and then store it again? Okay. So we better use agnostic patterns. So we better use the recommendations that doesn't count your paradigm. So how was that until this point? Some questions? My recommendation here, the agnostics pattern that I want to explain you, or I want to tell you about a little bit, is about domain-driven design by Eric. Oh, this is not the thing I want to do. Okay. This is the DDD. I think it's move all my. Okay, I hope it's. DDD is based in this book. Okay, the domain-driven design. This is about the goal of the domain-driven design is to create better software by focusing on the model of the on a model of the domain rather than the technology. Okay, it's a little bit the other stuff we were talking about. This is you have to forget the notification infrastructure or the persistence, or you have to focus in your domain. Okay, the first thing is the DDD is a way of dealing with complexity. The developers must deep in the domain and understand it, because make things complex is easy, but make it simple is a lot harder. So you have to think of that. You have to deep in the domain to understand it. The next one is the ubiquitous language. The definition is here. A language structure around the domain model and used by all team members to connect all the activities of the team with the software. A language structure around the domain model. What's the model? DDD leads to model-driven design. The developers capture all the knowledge of the domain in models. A domain is all the knowledge about something, about bank transfers. It's all the domain of that is gorgeous, it's big, it's enormous. But the model you have to design to implement some functionality, maybe is not too big, it's concrete. So the developers that understand very well the domain can make better designs, better model designs. So it's not about, okay, this is important, the distinction here. So the about language is what is important. It remarks a lot here in the book, the language you use. So it's just, I think maybe I don't know if you had this problem when you suddenly, not so suddenly, but start to name the things in different way that the customers are doing. It's because for you, the developers, makes better sense. Like, for example, well, I don't know. I can't remember. I remember a lot of, internal jokes, but I think it's not, I have to explain a lot of that. But it's typical, no? I think, okay, I have to put, okay, I remember an easiest example here. We made a formation for the department of, formation department of a big company, and we start to name the courses and the lessons and everything different than the stuff in the company we are doing, because for us we are more natural, and okay, for us it's different because it's inside the code. Who cares? It's inside the code. We can call your classes in your own way, but not. The DDD remarks a lot this point. Use the same language as your customers. And then test your model, because this is not, into test your model means that use it with your customers and be confident that this fits well with your software, but also made it in an incremental way. You build it and test it and develop it, and then contrast with your customers and so on and go on. Because it's behavior centric. DDD is about the behavior. It's not about the data. Okay, it's about how the domain, how the model. I'm running out of time. DDD is a very high abstraction. So maybe I'm going a little bit quick about this part, because it's Grails. I'm in my last 5 minutes. I'm going to talk about how implement DDD in Grails. So this part, I think I can go a little bit quick. So it's the picture, the image is out of it because I put it here. Okay, I'm sorry. Oh no. Okay, it's the same. This in my home all works perfect, but I think you can see the image. Yeah, I think so. Okay, layer it. Grails takes it, and then this is the big diagram that used Eric Evans in his book. This is where is the point? Okay. This part is about context, about bond, about language, about core domain. This part of the diagram is about domain, and this part is about implementation of that domain. Okay, and we go through this part. Sorry. Okay, don't worry, because our part is you can see very well. So we got entities, we got value objects, we got factories, aggregates, repositories, domain events. Okay, we go through it. Okay, entities. What is an entity? It's something with identity, like a user, like a bank account, or something like that. Okay. In the example of a car with 4 wheels, with has many class, a wheel. Do you think that wheel has identity? This is the question. The wheel, the ID of the wheel we have two in our car is important. That's the question. I think in my example, in my domain in a garage, not in the in the Formula 1 meeting, because maybe in a Formula in F1 domain it's important. The tire, what are you using? Tire, tomorrow we heard the Grand Prix, so it's important. Okay, this is the, okay, I think you follow me in this point. The next one is the value objects. It's about attributes without no identity, like the wheel, okay? Like the settings of a user, of settings of how many mails per week wants to receive. Is not important, you know, these three settings. Service. Go through it because service, operation to demolish, standalone interface, declare it as a service, make the service stateless. Significant process or transformation in the domain is not a natural responsibility of an entity of value object, the service. Okay, we got it. Modules. Modules is a set of concepts. Okay, we got it. Aggregates. This is interesting. This is a cluster of entities and value objects into its aggregation. And choose one entity to be the root of each aggregate. It is, for example, I don't know, but book and authors. No, it's not a good sample. But I don't remember now a good sample for that. But this is this kind of has many relationship where the has many they got identity. But there are a lot of identities, but we have to access through the root, through the user, through the car. You have to access. You cannot access to the wheel through directly. You have to access through the entity car. This is the root of the aggregation. Factories. Okay, we go through this one. Repositories. Repositories is interesting because provide the illusion of an in-memory collection of all objects of that type. Okay, this is in this abstraction we could code SQL in our code, and these repositories want to wrap it, you know, to treat all the objects in the database like a collection, like a list or in Grails. Okay, so how we implement this? In 2 minutes. Entities, domain classes in Grails. That is clear because we got the ID, we got all of this. And we got interesting. Has one and belongs to property can be used to define the life cycle of entities and the relationships. This means that we got the aggregation I just explained you, the aggregation, the root access to an aggregation, we can do it through this one, through the has one part. and this life cycle is good also for implements cascade process and to delete and so on. Implemented value objects we got with no set of properties with no ID, set of properties that we don't want to store in the domain. We can use embedded. We can use a pogo to delete, or we can use command objects, or we can use store in Postgres, or we can use another method. But we don't have to use always domain classes. Implementing service. This is directly with our services. And then modules with in Grails is as a plugin. We can concentrate on the business logic in a plugin. Implementing aggregates. We talk a little bit about this with the entity, with it has many. You have here the root. We can use this process to access to the root. But also we can use within a service when it's not enough the use of the object is more complex than that. We can create a service to implement this aggregation control. Implement factories. This is here. The factory is not like like a abstract factory. The pattern. I think here we use it for to implement. Like say here, to implement instance of infrastructure service. So, for example, when we want to store files in a S3 store of Amazon, we want to relate it only for production, but in test we want to store in localhost. For example, we can implement, create a factory to implement this. And implement repositories. A repository is a wrapper to all the GORM access. But in my opinion, we don't have to do always a wrapper for all the GORM access. We can make this is for complex aggregation. We can make a repository, but for access a simple entity, use GORM. For example, if in my opinion, we have to create external repositories to handle the more complex part of your application. Create this a separate to create this bank account repository, but for the easiest one, for these entities that are very, very easy, use I use directly GORM. And I say the reset factories to facilitate startup providers like email service and so on. So in code, we got here the bank user.hasMoney default account. Remember the first get account and then ask account.getMoney, and no, use directly. Ask the instance. Like here, account is possible transfer, and here, transfer repository, insert transfer. And here I implement the transfer repository, okay, insert transfer. And we separate the use of the creation of complex objects in a separate class. And the send notifications is only one service, notification service, with the call it with the subscriber, maybe it's with the subscriber pattern. So this is all. Model your domain, create your business logic, and separate it from your infrastructure. And this is my suggestion. I hope it was good for your reflection. So we had time to questions. How do you saw it? Did you understand something? My English is so horrible. Any of you have implemented this pattern repository, or you put all your logic in your business, in your services, like we saw? I am a crazy man for saying, separate it, please. Don't get all your stuff from get to save to yes, Mario, say.
Yeah, I just want to put an example here, because we've been discussing a lot about how to pass data from the controller to the services. Some of us were discussing that it would be better to use just maps. Some of us were saying just to use value objects. And some of us were saying, well, if we already have command why don't you just pass it to the service layer? So what's your position here?
I think we got, yeah, why not use common object? Because it's like it's the implementation here. This is the implementation of an object before is detached from the database. I would like to use common objects here, and has the constraints. I didn't talk nothing about constraints, but it's very important. The complexity of construction or persistence is also the complexity of take control of the constraints. Where we put our constraints? Usually in the domain model, or in the common object. But so we have to deal with it. So why not? I'll use it. Okay, I hope this. Please look for me to say this is a lot of work for you. Maybe it's more work for you, but I hope this is it's easier to deal with 700 lines of classes. Okay, thank you.